Afternoon, everyone. I'm really glad to be here. I hate starting sessions with excuses, but I am going to give one, and there's two of them. One, I'm wearing one contact lens. So when I do this, no judgment. Can we just understand? And the reason I'm wearing one contact lens is I literally just landed this morning from London, but I'd actually gone to I'd gone to France for the Cannes Lions. If you're in advertising or marketing, you know about it. And then after that, I went on holiday to Albania because I've got this thing where I've got this 50 before 50 list that I've got, right? 50 things I want to do before I turn 50. And so one of them is to travel to 100 countries. So I've done all the Spain, Italy, so I'm now going to weird countries like Albania. Everyone's like, what are you doing in Albania and stuff? So I'm in 81 countries and I have 3.5 years to get to my 100 countries. So I am a little bit I'm not jet lagged because it's got the same, but I'm a little bit tired. But I'm going to give you my energy because I respect you guys and I really respect the fact that you're joining me today. So first of all, I think the one thing you're probably wondering is, what is this divine discontent, right? It seems like two very opposing concepts. And maybe let me start off by talking about how I personally found out about divine discontent. Now I know we're all South Africans and so we all support the Boks. But before the Boks were the top rugby team in the world, it was obviously the All Blacks. And one day I watched a documentary on the about the All Blacks, and I remember them saying the minute they lift the YLS trophy, they literally start thinking, how do we win the next one? And I was like, guys, can we just celebrate? Yeah, a little bit. But they're already thinking about how do they win the next one, and they call that divine discontent. And I was so inspired by that. And I want to chat a little bit about it because it might feel, if you think about the word discontent, that it's never good enough. You're never enough. That's actually not the case. So let's talk about it a little bit. So as I said, these two words, the one, really, if you think about divine, it's about what lifts us, it's about what's good, it's about what's noble. Whereas discontent, on the other hand, sounds like something's not right. But when you bring these two ideas together, I really think it fuels greatness. It fuels the power of greatness. And let me explain what I mean by that. So for me, when I think about divine discontent, it's actually restlessness. It's restlessness that says, I know that this is good, what I've done. So it's acknowledging that what I've done is good. But there's a voice in me, a quiet voice in me, that whispers, you've done well, now what's next? It's what actually stops us from coasting, because it's easy when you've done well to start coasting and thinking, I'm okay. It prevents us from sitting back and saying, okay, job done, good enough, cheers, bye, let me go, right? It really is the force that really pushes you. And so let me share you a personal story, for example, around divine discontent for myself. I remember doing a marketing campaign. We launched Ponds when I was working in the Middle East, and at that time, I know in South Africa Ponds is affordable skincare. In the Middle East we didn't have Ponds and stuff, so we launched it as a premium brand competing against L'Oreal and Olay. And I remember when we launched it, literally in 1 year we grew 10% market share. So the results were fantastic. The leadership was really excited with us. All of those good things, everyone was like, this is amazing. And we took it in as a team. And we said, this was amazing. We owned it. We owned the joy. But then I said, but what could we have done better? Who could we have partnered with maybe that would have helped us make this 20% market share? Could we have done the ad in a very different way than what we did to take us to a very different space? And I tell this story because it's not that we failed. We didn't fail. And this is where divine discontent comes from. It's actually you continuing to win, to do well. But what you're saying to yourself is that well is not good enough. I actually want to do better than that. And the work was good. We delivered. But for me, that restlessness question is at the heart of divine discontent. It's not the kind of discontent which says you failed. And I really want you guys to be clear about that, because when you hear the word discontent, you think, I failed. You haven't failed. But it's basically the word that says, great job. Now let's aim higher. I hope you get the difference, right? Like, because it's when you hear discontent, I know how people feel about it. When I first spoke to, where's my team? Like, wherever she is, like, everyone was like, ah, she's not happy with us. Like, and that mindset has actually changed how I approach my everyday life and everything that I do. It's not about being unhappy or ungrateful. It's not about being negative. It's not about complaining. It's not about looking for faults just to tear things down. It's really about being proud, but never completely finished. Being proud, but never completely finished. It's about seeing a win as the platform for the next level of impact. So you've won, yes, but what's your next level of impact? And it's what drives athletes to keep training, even after winning gold. How does Usain Bolt continue when he was like a 100-meter sprinter? You've won gold. You own the record. But you're divinely discontent. And you're saying, actually, maybe I never want anyone to break my record. So how do I continue to, drive that? It's what drives entrepreneurs to be innovative, even after they're being profitable. I mean, I can talk about our competitors. Like, you look at brands like Discovery Health, very profitable medical health business, but they decide to go into banking, those losers, but anyway. But that's being divinely discontent, is saying, yes, we're profitable, we've done well in this area, but we think we can do even better for our shareholders, for our employees, for society. It's actually what drives leaders to keep improving systems, to keep improving communities, and to keep improving lives, even when things seem okay on the surface. And this is what I absolutely love about it. And let me actually make something clear. It is not divine discontent if it makes you anxious. That's important, because then that's a different thing altogether. Like, then what's pushing you is actually not something that's positive. You're being pushed by a negative emotion. So it must never make you anxious. It must be a restlessness, yes, absolutely. But it's not like, it's not about being like, about not being happy. It's about having purposeful relentlessness. Then that's important. And that's why, if it's not purposeful, of course you're going to be anxious, right? Because you'll be questioning yourself all the time, like, I want better, I want more. And then you start feeling these things like you're carrying, at the back of your head and mind, and then you can't actually deliver even the way you're delivering now. And for me, that purposeful relentlessness is actually what moves you forward and what drives you forward. It's the type of mindset that's actually going to set you apart. You guys are young. I don't know where you are in your careers and stuff, but it's going to set you apart in your career and your life. It's what will keep you and what you choose to build. It will keep you relevant. It will keep you resilient. That's the essence. So why does it matter? Not just in theory. I just want to actually just speak about maybe a couple of examples, right? But it matters because the world needs you to drive positive change. So if you're not divinely discontent, how are you ever going to drive positive change? And the world needs us, guys. The world needs people who refuse to settle. The world needs people who want to change things the way they are, even if they seem like they're working. Maybe they're not working for all of us. So how do we ensure that they work for all of us? You're at a point in your life where you're probably already like thinking, you know what? Hearing a lot of people are telling you you're a great leader. Yeah. You're good. Aim higher. You're doing your best. But what divine discontent does is it takes it further for you. It asks you not to aim for your best just once, but to make it a part of your life every single day. And that matters because it keeps progress alive. And by the way, what I find interesting about divine discontent is that it's easy to fix broken things, right? Like, you see them, this is broken, let's fix it. But what divine discontent does is it actually takes something from good to great. So nothing has to be broken. But it's just that relentless understanding and pushing yourself to say, how do I ensure that I give something a better edge and move something forward? And also for yourself, it actually protects you. It protects you from becoming the kind of leader who rests on one's successes. Because I don't know about you, I always say this to my team. I don't want to be the type of leader who goes quietly into the night after their career. And the reason I don't want that is because I'm divinely discontent. I want every year to say, what did I add that was more than the year before? So it keeps you asking yourself, how do you raise the bar? And when you raise the bar for yourself, for your team, for your partners, for your community. And why do we need to raise the bar? Think about the challenges we face as South Africa. If you guys in this room are not sitting and thinking about, and I'm sure you're already making an impact wherever you are, but if you're not thinking about how can I raise the bar on this, we're gonna be in shit, guys, as a country. So we've got to all challenge ourselves about how do I continue to raise the bar. So let's talk about maybe a couple of people, right, who actually display this. So a lot of you guys might know, so I told you, no judgment. Wangari Maathai, she's Kenyan, and I think you'll know the story. And it's funny, before I wrote this, I knew the basic level of her story, which was, trees were disappearing in Kenya, and what would we do, right? We would go and say, guys, can we stop cutting down trees? That's the easy solution, right? Let's stop cutting down trees. She didn't do that. She said, let's stop cutting down trees, but also let's start planting trees, right? Cool. Then, in addition to that, she then started what she called a movement, called the Green Belt movement, that not only restored millions of trees, but restored hope. And here's where divine discontent really shines. She won the Nobel Peace Prize for doing this. And after you win the Nobel Peace Prize, what should you do? Guys, I'm out, I'm done, I'm a winner, it's okay. There's nothing more than this, but she didn't stop. She kept asking, how can I empower more women? How can I make sure that the next generation protects this land? So she didn't settle for healing damage. She pushed for something greater, a future where communities lived in harmony with the land and with each other. And this example is, I guess, pretty important for us as a bank, as Nedbank. We're not called the Green Bank for nothing, because it talks about sustainability. And that's what a lot about what divine discontent is about building sustainable communities and systems and stuff, because you're not settling for just average. You actually want more than that. Then I'm going to talk about another example, a personal one. So as I said, I've just returned from Cannes, drinking lots of rosé. Yeah, we also listen to seminars and, do important things, but there's lots of rosé in between. And actually, it's funny, about 5-6 years ago, as a bank, we won our first Lourdes Grand Prix. I don't think there's any bank in South Africa that's ever won a Lourdes Grand Prix. And again, I easily could have said, I am good, guys. I see we know a Grand Prix, FNB, what. Easily could have said that and stuff. But I said to my team, no, this is great. Let's celebrate it. And we celebrated it, guys. But I was like, but I want a can. I want a Cannes Lion. That's actually what I want. And for the first time this year, Nedbank was shortlisted for 2 Cannes Lions. Now, when you're shortlisted, so let's take film. Film, the judges get to see 4,000 TV ads from around the world, and they shortlist 30. And we were the only ad from South Africa, us and Chicken Lick, and interestingly enough, Joe Public is both our agency and stuff, were the 2 from South Africa that were shortlisted. And this would not have happened had I been content with the Lourdes Grand Prix. And I'm still not content because I still don't have my medal. Yes, we've been shortlisted, and that's the step though, because that's what happens, right, when you're discontent, is you move forward. Even if it's not exactly where you want to be at that time, you are moving forward. What makes me incredibly proud though as well is for the film that we won, that we were shortlisted for. I don't know if you guys saw our 1976 film, but basically to other people who don't know is we went and found families of families who had kids who died in the 1976 riots. And we detailed their stories. Most people know Hector Peterson's story, but actually there's more stories than that. We then took those stories to previously white schools And we said we wanted to put them on their youth honors boards. So if you think about it, when you go to these schools around South Africa, what you'll actually see is you'll see 2024, Khensi Nobanda maybe, then you see 1976, Noble Mabaso. And when we did it, Noble's family is there. And we get to tell Noble's story to young kids to understand that the country that we live in is here because of these kids who fought for what they fought for in 1976. And if they could do that against a state like controlled police state, why can't you achieve your own dreams if they could do that? And then you have Noble's dad stand up and talk about his son. And then say to me at the end of it all, thank you for recognizing my son and for telling his story. And again, I'm very happy that I was not content, because had I been content, these stories would never have been told. And we've got to push ourselves so that we can ensure that we move our country, we tell these type of stories when we're marketers. So for me, that's what like really drives me. I'm going to give you another example. I mean, a lot of you guys will know about Fees Must Fall. Okay, if you think, like, you know, when I was thinking about like Fees Must Fall, I was thinking about my little sister Lulu. And at that time, she'd finished university. And this is like, you know, private school girl. Like, I just would never have thought she would go protest anything. Like, I was actually like gobsmacked around how engaged like the young people were around Fees Must Fall. But for me, what was interesting was it wasn't just about lowering tuition. It was actually about building an education system that is fair for all South Africans. It builds a better future for all South Africans. And even when some demands were not met, the questions didn't stop. They kept on and they kept on. And that's what divine discontent is. It's not about, please write off these bad debts for these kids now, or please, no, it's about how do we make sure the education system is fair. And to have all these young people really engage in this movement was incredibly inspiring for me, especially my little sister. I was like, girl, okay. There you go, love it for you. So if you think about all of these examples together, what does it say to you? It basically says none of these people settled. None of these people said, the problem is fixed, so my work is done. This, for me, is a statement that I really want you to listen to. They saw progress as a starting point, not a finish line. And that's what being divinely discontent is about. Progress is a starting point. It's not a finish line. They let themselves look beyond and strive for more and keep improving. And that's the mindset that I really want you to embrace today. So how do you embrace it? Let's pause for a minute. And maybe let's speak to a concern that I'm sure a lot of you have in the room right now. You're like, yo, this sounds exhausting. Like I'm always never enough and stuff. It's not exhausting, guys, if you approach it in the right way. It's not about running yourself into the ground. And I can tell you about running yourself into the ground because I've done that to myself. And so you've got to balance that out. I remember saying to my team last year, around April, I said to them, I'm not okay. I'm not connected to my work right now, and I'm just not connected to you guys. And I've got to take a break. And by the way, if we think about it, if I had just continued running, actually wouldn't have delivered the way I ended up delivering. So to be divinely discontent is also to be curious about yourself and listen to yourself and be very self-aware about where you are. And I said to my team, I'm off to Mexico for a personal retreat. I'm going to talk to a couple of shamans, climb mountains, come back and reconnect with you guys and stuff. And actually, it was the best thing I ever did for myself. But I want you to realize that I don't want you guys to get there. But if you do, by the way, recognize that it's okay. We all get there. Like if there's one thing I must tell you is that vulnerability is a superpower. Like for me to stand up as a Group Exco member of a bank and tell my team, I am not okay, is not nothing to be ashamed of. Like at many times we are not okay, guys, and that's okay and stuff, right? Like I just hope you understand that. It's not about perfectionism. It's not about beating yourself up. It's not about just every day feeling like it's too much for me. The minute it goes to that, then I think you've channeled it into the wrong space. I want to take you back to what it is about. It's about purpose-driven growth. It's about choosing to be the kind of person who celebrates the journey, even as you look ahead to the next horizon. Now, how do you make sure that your divine discontent fuels you? So I'm going to give you 4 key steps, right? So the first one, as I told you, is celebrate every win. Please don't forget that. Because I know you're already looking at what's next. But celebrate every win. Divine discontent isn't about skipping over or negating success. I celebrate wins. I've got 4 of my marketing team members going to Brazil in October because they've done bloody well in terms of, from a work perspective. We celebrate them. But I'm already asking, Adisha runs our digital media. Yeah, Adisha, tell me about you. So yeah, you've done well. And we celebrate that. Second, make striving a shared journey. It's so easy for leaders to think that they're on their own. And you'll never survive if you do this on your own, whether it's within your community, whether it's within your family. Think about how do you do it with shared people around you who can help you actually achieve what you want to do. Because people come with different strengths, right? And they can help you achieve through those different strengths. The third one is, so that it's purposeful, stay connected to your why. Do you know your why? So I'll tell you my why. One of the things I always say is, my story was never meant to be. My dad is from Soweto. He left South Africa to go into exile. And he met my mom in then Swaziland, Eswatini. And, I grew up in a mud hut. So my mom says mud house. Okay, mommy, but was it mud? Yes, it was mud. So my story was never meant to be. If you think about where my dad comes from, where you come from a government that's not allowing you to get the best education, the best, opportunities, and you have a mom this side whose mom, so my grandmother, was a cleaner at a hotel. There is no way I should be sitting on an exco of a JSE-listed bank. But I am. So what you think is not possible is actually very possible. So because of that, my purpose is incredibly clear. My purpose is to show the art of the possible. And especially to young black girls. Because I want young black girls to understand that it doesn't matter where you start. It's how you finish that's important. So I'm clear about my why. And that is why whenever I think about I'm discontent right now, if it doesn't link up to my why, I go, this is not for me. I'm not going to do it because it doesn't link to my why. And also in your why, think about, the second point that I made around, people who can help you with it. There was a time when, for the last 4 or 5 years, the number of people please mentor me. You guys, I was like, you have got a job, ne? I don't know. If I have to mentor everyone, I don't know when I would actually do my actual job, right? And so I spoke to a group of friends of mine, and I created a platform called Own Your Path. The easy way to describe Own Your Path is it's Tinder for mentors and mentees. So you come in, and you find a group of mentors. You go in and you look at their profiles and you swipe right, you swipe left. So instead of taking on all this mentorship thing, but realizing that it's important because it's needed, right? A lot of people are looking for hope. I then said to my network, how can you help me? So point 2 and 3 for me was really linked because the art of the possible in terms of my purpose, it was still important that I get young people to get mentored and stuff, but I can't do it alone. I needed my network of friends and colleagues and stuff to be able to do that. And one of my most beautiful moments actually was going to Joe Public, which is our advertising agency, to film something. And this young lady comes to me and says, "Hi, Khensi." And I'm like, "Hey, what up?" You know, and stuff. And then she says, "I'm here with Brandon. Brandon's my mentor." And I'm like, "Oh," and she says, "I met Brandon through Own Your Path." I almost cried. It was just such a beautiful moment for me, because I realized that whatever happens to her, like I played a little role in that. Brandon's played the most role, but I played a little role. And also in finding your why, think about I know there's different ways of like how you land and how you. So I go back to my story was never meant to be. Let me tell you why it is. It's because of education. My parents were incredibly clear that I had to have a great schooling, like a great education. And again, if you think about my story was never meant to be, and you know, they say, how do you know someone went to Harvard? They tell you, me, I went to Harvard. But the best thing about the Harvard thing for me was, they have to choose a class speaker at the end, like your valedictorian. And it was a weird moment because, don't cry guys, I promise it's beautiful. But it was a weird moment because my birthday is on the 18th of October, and I was sitting having dinner in Boston, like celebrating my birthday. And my phone rings, and I know it's 3 a.m. in South Africa. So I was like, fuck, someone's dead. So it was my husband was calling me. So I walk out, and he says, "Babe, I'm really sorry, like, your dad is gone." And so I walk back, and it's my birthday in the US. Okay, it's actually my anniversary, because my anniversary is on the 19th in South Africa. And I'm trying to like pretend that nothing's happened, right, when I go, because I don't want to spoil everyone. It's like my birthday celebration. And you become so close when you're doing, so I did the advanced management program, and you're together for like 8 weeks, sorry. And they immediately picked up and said, "Actually, you're not okay, like what's up," and stuff. Anyway, I ended up telling them. So birthday, yapela. And then we went back, and my cousin, fortunately, my dad's older brother's daughter was studying her MBA as well in Boston. So, my guys were like, "Let's call her." But I said, "No, let me tell her." Then we called my mom. And I said to my mom, we had about 10 days left on the course. And I said to my mom, "I don't know what to do. Like, do I come back? What happens?" My mom was like, "Yay, yay, yay, yay. Your dad has been telling everyone that his daughter is at Harvard." There is no way when you are graduating, my darling. Otherwise, he is haunting all of us. And in the end, they decided to actually wait for me, which was lovely of my family, to wait the couple of 2 weeks actually before they buried him. But what was more special was, as I went to tell the administration guys that I wasn't going to go to class that day because I just needed some time out, they asked me, they said, "So what if you are voted class speaker? Like, would you still do it? Like, would you have?" And as I thought to myself, my cousin was standing next to me. My cousin said, "Yes, she'd do it." Then they said, "Actually, you have been voted class speaker." And what was beautiful about it is it ended up being an ode to my dad. What my dad, and I'm going to go back to the why. My dad was very stressful. If you met him at a party, right, he'd say, "Why are you here?" And now when I was sitting there thinking, I don't know, to party, it's Mivuya's birthday, I don't know, And my dad would say, "No, why are you here on this planet? You're my boyfriend, but you're your dad." But so to stand up, and it was 177 students from 44 countries when I did my class, my speech. I started off by saying, "Why are you here?" This is what my dad would have asked you. And the way I ended it was to say, when you know your why, please don't let it down. Because that is what keeps you anchored to why you will continue to challenge and push yourself and be discontent. Because you know your why. And then I think the last point I would say to you guys is see growth as an adventure, not a challenge. I've worked in so many different industries. Like I've worked on margarine, Smirnoff, beer, Vaseline, Vodacom, banking, and all of that. And whilst marketing principles are generally the same, how your business makes money is quite important. So how a bank makes money, as a marketer, I need to understand, because I've got to understand how I drive value, like for the bank and stuff. And for me, that level of growth, I did not see it as a challenge. I saw it as an adventure. Like I was like, endowment income, what is that? Like, and stuff. And actually allow yourself, when I recruit for curiosity. The more curious the person is, like that they seem more interesting to me because I'm curious. And the curiosity is in three ways. Curious about the world. You're a marketer, you've got to be curious about the world. Curious about your business and your brand. That's really important, where you can take your brand, but curious about yourself. When do we ever sit and ask ourselves about ourselves? Because the only way we can do that is by giving ourselves the space and time to actually grow. And it's not scary, guys. It's an adventure to learn about yourself. So I would really challenge you to do that. So now, again, I want you to remember that it doesn't mean you're never satisfied. It means you're grateful, you're proud, but you're never finished. And in both ways, finished, guys. I mean, in both ways. And that's a beautiful way to live your life. When I left Can, and I was like, well, that was lovely, but I want the metal, like, and stuff, and we celebrated it. We had a beautiful dinner, but I wanted more. So how do you actually apply this idea? I'm going to give you 3 exercises. And you don't have to say them out loud. You don't have to, I'm not going to get you into groups and blah, blah, blah. Like, you just write them for yourselves and stuff and just think about them, right? So firstly, I want you to help you take some personal inventory. So I want you to do a little exercise. I just want you to take a moment right now to think about one area in your life or in your work or in your studies or whatever where you feel you're doing really well. You're already shining, you're doing well. So I'm going to give you a second to think about it, write it. Now you're doing well. Now I want to ask you, how do you take that to the next level? Because it's easy to go from failing, or when something's not going well, to say, how do I make it better? But it's much more difficult, and I think much more interesting, to say I'm really, really good at this, but how do I take it to the next level? Because that's how I'm going to make a better impact, whether it's on society, my family, my friends, at work. So for example, if you're excelling at your studies, think about how do you help others to excel. If you're a leader, think about how do you lift others. But it has to be something that you're really good at. I don't want you to start off by areas of growth. No. That's not what divine discontent is about. Then, the next bit that I need you to shift your focus on is a little bit, so we've gone personal. Let's look a little bit outside. So think of your community. And when I say community, like I really mean it very broadly, like workplace, your team, your university, your street. Now consider again, one thing that's working okay, but could be better. So it's not potholes, guys. It's working, but it could be better. Maybe your social soccer team is good, but it could also become a tool for mentoring those people that you play soccer with. Maybe you're already doing environmental initiatives, but how do you take that to other areas that are maybe not in your own community? So that's the external bit. So you've done the personal, that's the external bit. All I'm asking you is from an external bit, how do you challenge yourself to move from good to great? And then I've got one last exercise for you. And I'm very nice, guys. I'm not asking you to tell me the answers because I know some of you don't know. But before the masterclass ends, right, I want you to just like commit to just one next step. You don't need to tell anyone what that next step is. Just decide for yourself. To identify that step, I can give you a question that will help you. Where will I choose to raise the standard of success in my life? Where will I choose to raise the standard of success in my life, in your own life? And when you have that answer, spend a moment thinking about how you can achieve that. And so I hope these 3 questions give you a sense that it's not about what can I do better because I'm not good at it. It is the constant striving for being the best, not settling, but making sure that you do it in a way that does not overwhelm you and doesn't give you anxiety. So as we come to the end of this, I want to leave you with one really important point. Divine discontent should never be a burden, guys. It's not a heavy weight that you carry on your shoulders, forcing you to work harder just for the sake of it. It's a beautiful gift. It is actually the thing that fuels powerful people who want to make a real difference. And I feel like it's people like you who want to make a real difference. You wouldn't be sitting here if that's, I was told you wrote essays, you wrote, I mean, like, so, so clearly there's something in you that actually wants to make a bigger impact, whether it's for yourself, your organization, whatever. There's clearly something in you. So challenge yourself, because the truth is that good enough is not actually good enough. Why is good enough? Like, good enough doesn't change lives. Good enough doesn't solve our world's problems. Good enough doesn't make you an executive. Good enough just like doesn't build the future that we all want to see. So the amazing thing is that you don't have to wait to live your life this way. You can actually start it now already. You already know what you're good at. It's how do you step change it to the next level. Divine discontent really means living with your eyes open, not just to what's broken, but what could be better. It means you choose to see the possibility and you choose to build. So my challenge as you live today is don't let divine discontent be just an idea that you heard about from this girl at a summit. Let it be about how you think, how you act, how you show up. Because the world doesn't need people who settle. It needs people who choose to keep growing. It needs people who choose to keep building. It needs people who keep pushing each other. And I truly believe that you guys are those people. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I just want to say you're so cool. I've been following your career, and I think you're just so cool and it's so effortless. So
thank you.
My question for you is 2 in 1. And it's something that I'm struggling with personally, and it's something that I've somewhat always wanted to ask you in particular. So 1, as a leader, how do you remain so grounded and so authentic, yet so assertive, and still smash the goals, right? 1. And then the second question is, how do you overcome imposter syndrome? And I think this is something we deal with a lot, especially as women, and women who want to fill those seats of leadership. Thank you.
Yeah. So, when was it? In 2010, again, no one must cry, guys, but you know, there's moments that happen in your life, right? In 2010, I was working in Dubai. I was looking after skin for Africa, Middle East, and Turkey. And I worked there for 3 years. The first 2 years was incredible. I was killing it, yes. You know, like, oh, good. Then I got a new boss. And nothing I did was good enough for my new boss. Like, it didn't matter. Like, you know, as I talk about divine discontent, right? Like, for example, we launched something for the Saudi Arabia team. It did really well. He didn't even give us time to celebrate. He didn't even say, well done. And that for me is not okay and stuff. So nothing ever was good enough. I give him grace now when I think back, because he wanted to be the global Unilever CEO. So he had his own ambitions that were driving him. But I remember coming back for the World Cup, just at the beginning, and I said to my 19-year-old brother, I was really unhappy. Like, I literally used to see my TV ads and fast forward them, like I was really in a bad space. And I said to my brother, I really hate my job. And he said, I resign. I said, Yona, you're 19, what do you know about resigning? Okay, let me just, And unfortunately, a month later, he was actually murdered. And it was such obviously it was painful for the family, but it was a gift because I quit. And I literally was like, you hate your job, you do all of this and then you die. Like, this is not the life I want for myself. I was lucky enough that I had the opportunity to have a 6-month sabbatical. Unilever was amazing, by the way. They said to me, take a break, we'll have a job for you when you come back. I was like, I don't even know if I like marketing, guys. Can you just leave me alone, right? And in that time, I decided what I wanted my work life to look like. So I decided that if you don't accept this one, Khensi, then I'm not for you. And it has happened where a particular company did not accept me the way I was. So I said, cheers. Because, for me, I find that the more authentically me I am, the better work that I do. You get the best out of me when you just allow me to be authentically me. And you've got to assert yourself in that space. Like, so the first thing I do, for example, like going for my first interview at the bank, you must see my tattoos. I must swear in the interview. You must know what you're getting. Like, don't be surprised now in the boardroom. You come in wearing long sleeve tops, and then next thing, she's got tattoos everywhere, and that kind of stuff. So you've got to, I show you immediately in the interview who you're getting, so that by the time I come in, you're not surprised and stuff. And I remember the day, a little bit of a side note, when I was joining Nedbank, I was actually joining in a level lower than me. And I was joining in September 2017 or 18, I can't remember. And I was meant to report to Tulani. And then Tulani calls me before I start and says, I've resigned, I'm going to Standard Bank. I was like, and then who's going to be my boss, And then I was like, because I'm divinely discontent, I was like, actually, I'm going to apply for his job, guys. I hadn't even started. And I remember telling my mom was like, you want a promotion? You haven't even started at the company. I was like, I have nothing to lose. I was already happy with the job that I was going for. And I threw my hat in the ring. And I started in September. Literally in January, I'll never forget it, Mike Brown was the CEO at that time. And I'm a massive sports fan, particularly football, but just a general sports fan, and massive Liverpool fan, Man United there. And I happened to be at work wearing, I'm not kidding, shorts, a Liverpool top, and All Stars. Mike Brown's PA called me and says, Mike wants to see you. So I'm like, cool. So that's what it is. Walk in, and Mike, and I think he was like, are we sure? And so, I literally got promoted in 4 months in the role and stuff, but showing them exactly who I was. And the reason it worked, the reason they could promote me was because in showing them exactly who I was, I did great work in that 4 months. And so they could easily, so you've got to own your space and own your narrative. And then sometimes if it doesn't work for you in that company, and I know it sounds easy, I don't have kids, I get that, right? So it's easy for me to say, I told my husband, good luck, but because if it's not working out, it's on you, my darling, because I'm leaving and stuff. But you've got to protect yourself, guys. The companies won't. It's the scariest thing. I don't know how many of you guys have experienced this. Someone dies in your team. I'm not kidding. On the system, it says deceased, and it throws out a vacancy thing. One day. And yet you want to not be yourself and allow people to tell you who you are in an organization. Nah, that's not imposter syndrome. I think we all have it. The way I think about it, though, is I don't think about it as imposter syndrome anymore. So one thing, Case Kratov is a massive mentor of mine, like probably more sponsor of mine. He used to be the MD of Unilever South Africa. And I used to always watch him, like, and he'd go on stage and just talk, like, and he'd, you know, like, be very comfortable, you know, and all of that. And I would say to him, why do you look like so chill and so comfortable and all of that? And he said, because I practiced. So he says, I practiced, I worked, I did. But then you come across as like you haven't, like you're just talking and all of that. So that's like, and then he said to me, and then I said, are you nervous still? He said, the day I'm not nervous, Khensi, is the day I don't give a damn. So I look at it, so I don't feel like I've got imposter syndrome, but do I still get nervous? Yes. Think about it like that, and think about being nervous as being a good thing, because it means you care. Because if you didn't care, you wouldn't be nervous. And then make sure that you practice and practice and practice. And then make it seem like Njay you were chanting.
Thanks for that. Next question, and then there was someone at the back who also had a question. Oh, that there, okay. So you go, and then we've got, Khensi, you've got about 2-3 minutes to answer. So please, one question. There is a Q&A, sorry to stop you. There's a Q&A session after this at 4, so you can also field questions.
Okay, cool. Hi, Khensi. My name is Tadowesi. I'm a founder of a PR and communications agency. My question is around your trip to Mexico around that time where you were feeling. Did you meet the monks? But okay, that's not the question. The question is, what is the importance as a leader to master self? And I'm talking holistically in terms of not giving into pleasures, being aligned with your inner self. How is that important, and how's that worked for you? Because I'm sure when you came back from there, you're like, and oozed and all of that. So yeah.
I was lucky enough, so I became a category director at the age of 25. I've been very lucky in my career that I've had like amazing sponsors and all of that. And what someone gave me feedback on, Ham Hussen's another Dutch, he said to me, you've got to learn how to manage your energy. And he said to me, here's your issue. When you are in a good mood, the room is in a good mood. When you're in a bad mood, the room is in a bad mood. So if you don't know how to manage your energy, you're never going to be a great leader. And I got that feedback when I was 25. What did I say? I was like, no. But also what Unilever did, because I was quite young as a director, they literally gave me coaches and like all of that and stuff. And then I started taking that feedback into account around how do you master self, how do you master your energy. And sometimes for me, what I saw last year was it was leaking. And it does, right? Because you can work on it, but when you're not in a good space, you start being snappy at people. You start, I mean, like my team knows that I'm quite direct, so all of those things, but there's direct and then there's just rude, like which is where I was and stuff. And then you actually lose the support of your team and the people around you and stuff. And you've got to allow people to be able to give you feedback. I've just had a situation, I don't know if we was here, with one of my execs who reports to me, and I'm having to deal with it directly because I realized that how I was showing up, I'm very irritated with her, and I was showing up as very irritated with her and stuff. And so I realized, she actually sent me a long WhatsApp about, I feel like, and then I said, actually, you know what, you're right, let's talk. So we have the courage as well to have difficult conversations around, because, yeah, like it's you're not perfect, you know what I mean? But you also have to be respectful of people whilst they are respectful of you as well. So just understand, for me, it's like, yeah, it's how I manage my energy. And something one person once asked me, they said, how do you manage your team? Because I said, I don't manage my team, I manage myself. Sure. And when you think about it like that, everything falls into place.
My name is Pear, and amongst other things, I run a non-profit. And, you know, win an award here, an award nominee there. And my struggle is I fall on the other side of the extreme, which is the discontentment side. So how do you actually sit in the celebrating what is, as you then look forward to what's ahead?
Are you clear what your purpose is?
Yeah.
So how do you not celebrate it in the context of I'm working on my purpose? What stops you?
It's like, oh yay. And then, okay, let me do, there's more people to impact. There's more work to be done. And so.
But if that's linked to your purpose, how does that not give you energy? Because if it's linked to your purpose, it should give you energy. It doesn't mean it's easy, but it should give. And so I would challenge you and say, are you clear about your purpose? Because if you keep on doing these things and they're not giving you energy, and you're not enjoying them, and yes, always think about what's next. Maybe you've got to re-articulate your purpose, maybe. Because if it's right in your purpose, I can tell you, you will enjoy it, even as you're thinking about the more people to impact. So that's the challenge I'd give you.
Hi everyone, I'm Ria. I wanted to ask, how do you keep your eye on the why? Because life tends to throw so many things. You may even experience burnout at work, and there's just so many things going on in your personal life. So how do you maintain that, keeping your eye on the why?
Yeah, so I've got a really good network. So and I'll give you a very simple example. On the plane, so at Heathrow, I had 4 or 5 hour layover, and I just sat there, poured myself some champagne, and started doing email. Poor Mivuyo, who's my strategic executive assistant at the back, got So I know I don't take everything myself because I can't. If I did everything myself, I'd never be able to get anything done. It's literally that simple. So you've got to use your network and your colleagues, your friends, your family, you've got to be able to use it. And that's why I was speaking about the mentorship platform. For me, it was important that I'm making an impact, but I can't do it. So I found a way to do it without draining myself. So you've got to just think about ways of loosening yourself and giving yourself some room. I also have this thing called work-life integration. So I don't really think about it as work-life balance. I've got no problem with sitting on a train from Champagne to Bordeaux while I'm on leave and working while I'm drinking wine. I've got no issues with that and stuff. At the same time, I can at 2 p.m. be shut guys, I'm off for Champagne, I'm out. You know what I mean? So I think of my life as more around delivery of what needs to be done versus 9 to 5, even though I'm employed so you've got to take a step back and actually just think about how do you manage your life in a way that allows you to be able to, not get drained and all of that. And I can tell you, beyond all of that. I mean, I established a foundation. It's called the Alex Foundation after my brother who passed on. And one of the biggest reasons I did it, he was studying animation at Open Window. And I remember when he said he wanted to study animation, my parents were like, animation? And it took me to convince my parents to pay for him, right, to go. So after he passed on, what I did is establish a foundation where we raise funds to pay for kids who go to creative schools, because a lot of black families are just no, we don't know what you're on about and stuff, right? But in doing that, again, I didn't do it on my own. I actually got friends to help me. I had a friend recently who cycled and raised about 100,000 rand, which is going to pay for a student. And so you've got to find your network of people who help, whether it's at work, whether it's, even an easy one. My husband makes me a cup of coffee every morning so that I'm not thinking about making coffee. So just I think you've just got to figure that out for yourself. But you're not always going to get it right. And when you don't get it right, don't be hard on yourself, please. Don't be hard on yourself. Just be this is what it is right now. I'm not okay. And, go do what needs to be done. You don't have to go all the way to Mexico. You can I wanted to see shamans, so, But you can do it for yourself and take a step back and don't be shy to say, I'm not okay, guys. I just need a little bit of space to figure stuff out.
Oh,
Well,
and
thank
then a
you.
gift that you have for two of the people who ask questions. So if you do want to select.
Now going my favorites. I'm gonna give her because I've given her homework. This is for you. Thank you. I really hope you.
You will.
Do you support Liverpool? There you go.
Thank you so much, Khensi.